Welcome. Welcome. Hey, Michelle.
Hi.
We have a few more people who are definitely going to be joining us. Welcome. We just had the Yom HaZikaron siren here in Israel, and so everything will be falling into place soon enough. And I just want to say it's nice to see you.
You too. Yeah, I was gonna watch some of the stuff on the Israeli TV after this.
That sounds like an excellent way to spend the day. I'm going to share a link to Beit Avichai has some incredible videos that they do, little animated videos about different fallen soldiers, and I find it a really powerful way to connect. So.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I'd love to see any links you have. You know, when I was younger, I remember watching it with my parents. Like I don't know if it was satellite TV or what. My mom would just be glued and watch like the ceremony, the whatever, blah blah blah. But I don't have Israeli TV, so I saw like one or two things on the internet, but I'm not sure about like the formal ceremony, you know, with the government, where I can see that on the internet.
It's hard, especially when, again, like we're pulled in different places and we want to connect into all of those places, especially from so far away.
Yeah.
If it's okay with you, I would love to just get started, even though other people might join in a little bit, because I know that we'll be sharing this video with the larger audience, but if it's okay with you.
Yeah, sure. Let me just close the door behind me for when other people come. I just realized I forgot.
No problem. No problem. All right. Yeah, slowly but surely, those of us here in Israel will all make time to be exactly where we need to be as we are able to be here. Hey, Karen, how are you?
I'm so happy to be here. Thank you for doing this.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So Karen, we'll have a couple of people also joining us. Fantastic. Nancy's here. Hello and welcome. Nancy, I apologize for not broadcasting the siren also. Oh yeah, you're still on mute. We must.
I actually was quickly looking around, and Masa had a Facebook Live thing, so that's where I was just coming from. It was yeah.
Fantastic. Awesome. So just a quick introduction as we all join in and welcome other people who might join the Zoom portion of our time together. This is a once a week soul development exploration where we look at different midot, different soul traits, and see how they are possible to use as building blocks for ourselves on a soul level. So this, Karen, just so you know, it's my practice to have people not unmute. This is participatory for us in the Zoom, as well as appearing on Facebook Live. There'll be some portions where you'll be able to be privately in breakout rooms, and I'll be sharing other ideas and questions with people who might be watching this online. But really it is a process of coming from a place inside where I need community to gather with, especially as we're feeling isolated, where I get a chance to share how I move through things on a soul level. So this week is the third week, and we are the fourth week of us getting together. It's the third week of counting the Omer, and the soul trait, the Sphira, the Midah that we are working on is Tiferet. And in order to show everybody what that is, we're just gonna stand up for a moment. So I told Karen that this was not a physical practice, and here I am saying this one part is. All right.
Standing, yeah.
Exactly. Standing we can do. All right. So just stand with your feet hip width apart, outer edges of your feet parallel to each other, and recognize that like we did the first week. We created space for this, anava. The second week was really just about softening. So just take a deep breath in. Exhale, try and soften your skin. And last week was the week of Gura with like boundaries. Again, just lift and spread your toes. Notice how the arches of the feet lift and the muscles of the feet start to work all the way up into the shins so that we can find the four corners of the feet and a sense of balance. You can relax the toes if we don't need that alignment or engagement to find this place. And I'll just invite you to close your eyes. Closing the eyes exposes more of the dynamic nature of balance. Like I said, this is the week of Tiferet, which is literally translated as beauty and also has a sense of centeredness and balance. It is the place where we bring together balance of chesed, of loving kindness, of softening, and gura, strength, discipline, boundaries, and alignment. So with your eyes closed, it might be a little easier to notice that even in standing still, there is movement on the bottom of the feet. And we spend at least up until the first year of our life, sometimes longer, figuring out how to stand in a way that's steadfast. So right here, I'm just gonna ask you to notice where you place the weight on the four corners of the feet, the big toe ball mound, the inner heel, little toe ball mound, outer heel. And then just begin to gently shift to bring yourself into balance. Notice if trying to do that, you tense any other muscles. Just use the ones that are necessary for standing. Notice if your knees are locked, that's like too much gura. Soften them, add a little chesed. We balance these things out constantly in order to be a little more present and a little more steady. Take one more deep breath in. Exhale completely. And softly open your eyes. And you're welcome to and sit back down. So this midah, this soul trait of Tiferet, is one that I love. And actually this year, every time I come to this week, I usually look forward to it. These soul traits are, as we count them in the Omer, the time between Passover and Shavuot, there is an understanding that they show up in the body. We have chesed in the right shoulder, gura in the left shoulder, and tiferet is found right here in the heart as the balance between the two of those. And I like doing handstands and finding all of these like heart opener yoga poses. And this year I find it especially challenging to be in a place of balance. And I am wondering if I am the only one, or hopefully not the only one. I am thrilled to see smiling faces. It's reassuring. It's an act of chesed, a little bit of loving kindness for this feeling of like, I should be doing this. I should be working out every day or creating some great masterpiece when really I have probably completed more series on Netflix than I have ever in my entire life. It's a different kind of boundary. So there is a way of just, again, noticing what's here and looking at things from a heart-centered place. I love some of my favorite Hebrew phrases or Hebrew words create this incredible picture for me that allow me to connect a little bit more to what we're talking about. So Tiferet is this heart-centered place. And I think about the words lasim lev, to really, it literally means to put your heart, and it's a way of paying attention. So when we're thinking about the soul, we have to start asking the questions, what do you notice? Okay, so we're gonna just say like, whatever is there, and we're just noticing to begin with. And we're gonna start to, week by week, I use some of the same, sometimes I call them a game, sometimes I call them a technique, but as I told another group this week, let's think of it as a game and play to win. So this game that we'll play is a form of, I like to call it hitbodedut, okay? So with all of us off of mute, we're going to name 6 things out loud, all at the same time, so that everything sort of gets put into the space without anybody's one thing being focused on. It's a way of being present with what's inside in a group setting where there's kind of like loving acceptance. So there's that boundary of that. And the reason that we're naming 6 is to just open things up. It's actually an improv technique where you just name 6 first, the 6 things that come to your mind first. Don't worry if they're the very best 6 things or 6 of the worst things. I already explained how much TV I watch, so you can try and be worse than that. But in any case, the question is, we're going to name 6 things out loud that need a little more balance. Okay, you are welcome to think of this also in terms of beauty. The other meaning of Tiferet, things that could be, that in your heart of hearts could be a little more beautiful, if that speaks to you. Either definition of Tiferet, I'm going to work with balance. I notice the ways that I am typically strong, the ways that I am typically loving, and certain things are definitely out of balance. So, on your mark, get set, go. I ate
Work,
only fries for lunch,
food,
and I am not sorry about it. And I would
core
probably eat it again for dinner
strain,
today.
Applying to jobs,
work, food,
My
core.
definitely the work is
and
out of
cleaning.
balance. It's too easy to sit there and worry about it full time. My yoga practice is a
Could
little
only
out.
think of 3.
I don't do this. I know, but keep going, keep going.
Exercise,
About what else? Oh,
relationships,
with dinner. I will also
checking in with
try
people.
and be there for absolutely everybody that can be there, as well as use up all of the vegetables in my CSA box, which was incredibly challenging. Okay. So again, when I do that exercise, I sometimes am surprised by what comes out or where my attention goes, where like, if I like to think of it as like where the direction of my awareness goes. And now we're going to try and be a little more focused. Okay. I'm going to put the 3 of you in a chat room so that what happens next for you can be offline and within a smaller group. Okay. I want to give you a chance to create a little bit more space and choose something that feels like it could use a little more loving attention. Okay, we're going to just, everybody in the group will have 60 seconds to let it breathe a little bit. Okay, this is the act of, we could say it's like the aspect of chesed about this is that it's something, you're going to pick one thing. It could be from your 6, or it could be something else that you've thought of that needs a little more love. Okay, and we're going to give it a little more room. You don't have to solve all of the problems. You don't have to have even one answer about it, but you do have to give it 60 seconds. Okay, so it's a limited amount of time, and you can just kind of let it breathe a little bit. So I'm gonna put you two in a breakout room.
You
can
lost one.
I know, I saw Karen had to go. She just sent me a text. We're here for the length of time, I think. Let me see. Okay. All right. She says she'll join next time. She's having some computer technical issues.
Becca,
Okay. Yes.
I'm so sorry. I have to go too.
You have to go too. Nancy, can you stay? You want to stay with me?
I can.
Yeah, you do. Okay.
Yes.
I will definitely come next time. I just got a message that the formal ceremony in Israel started now.
Yes. Yes.
I feel like
I love that you are that you are giving yourself exactly what you need right now. It is a phenomenal use of balance and getting what you need. So
thank you so much. Okay.
sure.
You
For
guys
sure.
have a great class, and I'll see you next week.
Okay, bye.
Amazing. Nancy.
Hi. Hi.
Okay, first of all, this is fantastic. Also, there's nothing I want more than a public conversation with somebody that I love.
I know this is. God.
And
Ah.
you know, if you have to go, there is no problem. I can continue the class.
Right. I don't have to go, but there are people that are streaming, watching you and me,
Exactly.
right?
Exactly.
Right.
So I love that you are here with me, sharing this with me. And
Okay.
it just means we'll do things slightly differently because
Okay.
everything will be for public consumption.
Right, right.
And while I might not have a problem putting my soul on
I have to
display,
keep that in mind.
I would like to, exactly. I would like to be sensitive to both of us, I would just
Okay.
say. All right. So one thing that I wanted to, we can just like have a conversation about this also is, what does the idea of being in balance mean to you?
The idea of being in balance. Well, it's interesting because the first image was, just the scales, right?
Yeah.
But they're never like, so the idea of having them, so the first image is them being completely imbalanced, but we know that that's not, that's an ideal to reach towards, right? So the idea being that there's always going to be a little this way, and it's just kind of trying to, as often as possible, to have it go back, so it's like a dynamic thing, it's never like this, but it's going to be like this, but then you have to do this and then this, but like oftentimes it's this. You can't see my other hand, but
I see. Like, wait, yes.
Right. So it's that dynamic. So it's not a static thing. It's a dynamic, always trying to keep those scales as close to, taking a little bit of rocks off if you need to add a few more rocks to this side, that kind of thing.
For sure. And there is something about that. Like, again, I tell this to my yoga students constantly, that balance is dynamic. You will never have like, be able to just stand still. It's why I had us just sort of really
Mhm.
stand still and notice, like, even just standing, things are constantly being in motion. In order to be able to stand, we just sort of forgot that we got so good at it.
Mm.
The thing I have been trying to, I've been, I would say, like, wrestling with a little bit and trying to make room for is the difference between equanimity
Mm.
and Tiferet.
Mm. Mhm.
That I believe, like, this is like, I'm not I don't know that I'm ever skilled enough to be like, I'm equanimous. I I think we both know I'm a person of extremes.
So what, how would you describe equanimity? Like, because it's not equal.
Equanimity is like it's like stand-up paddleboarding.
Okay.
And, like, there's balance, but you have to be, it's like an even keel. Oh, I know. Here's what I would say is, like, you can be kind of like cool with it, but
Mhm.
maybe like a lot of effort underneath.
Mm.
My friend and colleague Jay Frankel talks about, like, be like a duck on water, you
Mm.
know, looks like effortless from the top and a lot of effort, like, things
Mm.
are working the way that they are supposed to, and everything is on an even keel. Tiferet for me, I think, like, really focuses on that idea of being dynamic, and that it's not necessarily that we, in at this stage of the game, we're in the third week of being prepared for something greater, something more to be able to receive. So
Mhm.
at this stage of the game, I would like to give myself a break and not have to be, like, totally great
Mhm.
and totally equal. I feel the need, especially, like, this year of Tiferet, where I'm really personally struggling to find that balance. I want there to be room for things to be imbalanced, and I'm figuring out what I need to be steady here,
Mhm.
if that makes sense.
Mhm.
Um,
So I'm wondering why Tiferet is used as the balance. Like, I know that we generally define that word as glory, right? Beauty. Tiferet.
Beauty, yeah.
Right. So what is the actual root? Like, what if we took the root apart? Like, what, like,
I would
does it?
have to Google it. I would have
Okay,
to
you don't know.
Google it.
Okay.
Oh,
So
I'm
balance, but what, so we're talking about that I'm just curious about that, like how we
how we
are
find
connecting
that.
those. How are we
So the,
connecting those? Like
so
the
the Kabbalists connect it from, like, that it's next after
right, okay.
Chesed and
Got
Gvura,
it. Yeah.
and because we have those two here, it's
Mhm.
like we can't just only have loving kindness and, like, like, love is all we need. Okay,
Mhm.
yes, that is true, as much as good boundaries
Right.
are in
Right.
service of our own growth, and
Mhm.
that it is the necessary balance between the two of those that
Mhm.
is found right here.
Got it.
So that would be, like, the
Okay.
very simplest explanation that I can offer you. And that, again, like, it's about finding that balance through both softness and strength. That there is, like, when I was reading, the word reconciliation
Mm.
uh, came up and resonated this
Mm.
year in a way
I'm
that
going to go get a note. Right over here. Hold on one second, because I want to
okay.
write.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, we're going to be using paper, so don't you worry. Yeah,
Oh,
that
strength.
that as for whatever reason, like, it resonated on a soul level, that idea of reconciliation, and that it lets me know that I have been feeling kind of at war with those two things. Having a huge list of things that I should be doing, hearing the voice of judgment, harsh critic, all of those kinds of things. And then on this side, on the chesed side, being very willing to be loving for other people and feeling just like I also need comfort and I also need care, but not being willing to like let that part live. So it's like things are, I notice these things and I notice like they're a little out of balance and they're not like jiving together in a way that like can literally let me take a deep, relaxing breath. In fact, I take a million deep breaths a day and it's challenging. It's challenging.
But yeah, reconciliation is a good word for all of the, you know, for that. Reconciling within yourself.
For sure.
Yeah.
For sure. All right. So here's the next activity. All right. And again, I will invite you to share to the depth that feels right for you.
Okay.
I know, it's so good. I'm so glad you're here. I just have a blank piece of paper.
Okay.
Okay. And in the center, I'll invite you to write or draw something that is representative of something that needs a little more balance for you. Okay. So I'm thinking about it, like I have to think out loud. Again, like also, what's something I'm also willing to share online?
Right.
Almost anything, that's fine. And again, you'll be able to do this activity, as will everybody else at home, without saying anything out loud. It's
Okay.
not a problem. It's not a problem. Something that needs a little more balance.
Trying to figure out how to draw that, how to represent that, because I know what I want to say. Let me get this. Okay. Let's see.
Oh, I know. Okay. Okay. So I chose to put mine in a square. I'm gonna just keep chatting. Please take your time.
Okay.
And mine is, I just put one word there, and that's work. It's in some ways, my work is way out of balance in terms of I don't get to work in the same way that I used to. It required an overhaul of how I teach yoga online, and also there was a huge shift in a big conference where I'm teaching in May, a shift from in-person to online, and everything has an element of upheaval about it. And it feels out of balance. And I notice that there has been ways that it's left me feeling anxious, afraid, determined. I've gotten creative with it. And then there's this like, one of the scariest elements is the I don't know. And I am somebody who loves clarity as much as I am excited about creativity and discovery, and I love to play with those. In my heart of hearts, in this place of Tiferet, the most beautiful thing to me is clarity. And if there's not clarity, I can handle it for as long as it takes me to figure it out, but no more. And there's just been an expansive amount of time that not knowing has taken up a lot of space.
Oh, yes.
So thinking about whatever is in the center for you, what have you noticed come up?
Well, almost everything that you just said, because mine was work, and I'm hesitant to show you this picture, and I want to tell you why.
Okay.
Because I was drawing a light bulb.
Yeah.
The light bulb actually ended up looking like something you would buy in like a I don't like in a sex shop.
Nice.
So I don't want. So anyway,
You know what? There's room for everything here.
but the
That's-
idea. So the
We
light.
established that the first week with Adava.
Right. So the balance of, like, yeah, all of those things that you said, coupled with the um, um, energy or elasticity of the ideas that used to flow more freely in
Mhm.
terms of my creative strengths
Mhm.
need some WD-40, for lack of a better word, like just needs some like oiling up. Like I'm like verbalizing it as kind of like elasticity,
Okay.
because when there's not that continual interaction with others in the way that we're used to, it that for me was the way that I mostly create, is like just brainstorming, etc., etc. So we're in our little silos, we're collaborating, but in a very different way. Um, and the relationships within, even though it's a small organization, not, it's a synagogue, obviously, but our professional staff, not obviously, but it's a synagogue, yet our professional staff is a small one. So so I have a lot of layers. I have like the staff relationships, then
Yeah.
I have the congregational relationships of the families and the children, and so all of that is still going on in a way that we all know, has been for most, which is online. So it's a shift, and so I feel like that balance of being really in it is missing, and the uncertainty, all of those things that you said, like, okay, we're going to get through this spring, but what's it going to look like come fall again? I mean, it's not going to be completely the same. So it's this kind of one step, one day at a time in terms of, the planning, not the planning, but the dealing with things, I guess, which is really puts me off balance, like you said, because part of what my job is strategic thinking, ahead.
Yeah.
You don't really know what's going to happen. So I'm living more in the moment, which is a good thing sometimes, but professionally, it's not the greatest. So,
Yeah. So there again, like what I hear is again, like that living in the moment has the kind of like soft, loving presence of chesed,
right.
and the strategic plan, which is just as valuable, is the act of gura. And how do you find the balance of
Mhm.
that?
And
Okay.
and according to the picture, the other side, you can't see it, but was like nice water. Like it made me like that chesed side of living in the moment, which is something that I strive to do. That.
Yeah.
And going out for walks and like just being with myself, being with my family. It's all been fantastic. But you can't always do that.
Right.
You want to, but you can't.
Right. In the same way that like I am never going to be the kind of person that doesn't daydream and have like spaciousness and like wandering ideas. And I will be continually learning how to hand things in on time. And look, I think of it as a great thing that I start and end things on time now.
Right.
I'm mindful of those things. It is
Mhm.
an absolutely learned art form.
Mm-hmm.
All right. I just want to take like one side note, like again, to just name the process that you and I actually get to do, which is a serious and phenomenal aspect of Musar, of this soul development, which is just being in Chavruta, where you're with another person who is willing to meet you at exactly the place that you are. And it shares the root of chaver, that there is a friendship there. And my friend and teacher and colleague, Rabbi Avi Orlo, describes this as like, as three different things. Someone who's willing to push, pull, and hold you.
Yeah, I love that. You said that last week, which I love.
Yeah. And that what we're doing now, again, is like holding space for each other. We can make a plan to hold. You and I have actually done things where you've like held each other accountable.
Yes.
And also tried to push each other to see things in a different way, consider something else, and, kind of like pull each other along and saying like, this is actually super valuable. So what I wanna do is, again, like, look at these things. Like, I took a second, and you're welcome to take a second too, is like, I wrote down on either side of my thing, things that were like, I have work in the center, like this is the thing that needs a little more balance. And on the right side where chesed is, the only loving thing that I have here is creativity. And I'm heavy on the gvura side. Like I said, like that's where I wrote the I don't know. That's where I wrote fear, frustration, a lot of judgments about shoulds. So I just want to give you a second to think about where the weight is for you. If it's heavy on one side, heavy on the other side, where's the weight? In the same way as somebody can stand and pronate or supinate, it affects a person's standing balance. So I'm going to give you a second to write those things down. And I'm going to keep chit-chatting, but you can ignore me for just a moment, okay? There is, I think that there are, chesed and gvura are available for balance, and all of these things can have positive and negative qualities. Each one could throw us off balance or bring us into balance. And again, like, I look at this and I recognize in terms of feeling imbalanced, I'm heavily weighted towards one. So that lets me know maybe I need to add in a little bit more chesed, or think about how to be skillful with that. At the same time, I could say, look, my work needs more discipline right now. It's just the way it is. It's what this moment in this situation calls for. So how can I be a little bit more gvura about it in a way that is actually more loving? You know what I mean? Bring the skills of chesed all the way over to through tiferet.
Yeah.
Let it be like in service of being balanced and bring it there. Because I can, to me, it's like my work does need more gvura, okay? In order to be balanced, I need to be a little bit more active and structured in that way. I'm very forgiving when I don't work, and I say like, everybody's isolated. Take time, do what you need for you. All of those things are true. And I'm feeling the imbalance. I notice it when I get like frustrated and anxious, when I want to avoid getting something done.
Yeah, I'm in the same, yeah, I'm the same way. As a matter of fact, there was just an article, I think in one of the weekends, one of the papers this weekend, we get the Times only on the weekend. And it might have been last week, I don't know, but it was a great opinion piece about the beauty and joy um, of like just basically not doing anything, and
Uh-huh.
that a lot of creativity comes from just lying around, and that it's okay if you're doing all this and thinking, or the alarm goes off and just lying in bed for a long time, um, and so whenever you find articles like that, you're like, you see, that person is, they're preaching that it's
This
okay
is
to
the
be this
research I
way.
needed.
Yes.
Exactly.
So, we find the support for however we want to be.
Right.
But I understand in terms of, hold on one second, let me just, yeah, so you find that evidential support in in whichever way you want to be, but
For sure.
I hear you in terms of that, because we have the chesed, because you could keep saying, oh, everybody understands, because everyone's going through this, but then, when do you get back to that other side of the scale to
Right.
fix the imbalance?
Right.
And
Right.
how do you, not when do you, but how do you?
How? Yes.
Yeah.
And that to me is like where I want us to get to, for
Mhm.
us to maybe leave this time together with one thing to practice.
Oh, yes. Mm-hmm.
One thing to practice.
Mhm.
So to do that again, like I'm just going to come back to this and say, like, can you see where the weight is for you in terms of feeling imbalanced? Is it a little too much on this side, a little too much on that side? Can you feel it out?
Yeah. Do you need me to
Okay.
elaborate, or you
It's
want me to just answer yes or
it's
no?
up to you. It's up to you.
Well, like going back to that idea of I'm, realizing that I love being at home and that I'm a homebody, and that it's, it makes you feel less like that elasticity again, that having to make the calls to the reaching out, even though I am a social person as well, it's like, um, uh, so I think that's where I'm weighted right now, is feeling more isolated, but in a positive way, not a negative way.
Yeah, it feels good. I love
Yeah.
it. Okay. So this goes to like a little bit of alignment where, especially since we're in Chavruta right now,
Mhm.
this is I think that there's two ways of thinking about like asking each other questions, okay, to
Mhm.
get
Okay.
closer to that how. All
Okay.
right. And one of the ways that I was going to say this is more of a chesed way of saying this, and one of the ways that I was going to say this is more of a gvura way of saying
Okay.
this, okay? And it really comes down to, in order to get to your how, do you need a little bit more of an invitation, more of like a chesed, or do you need a little push? So I would say it's like, what I'm going to ask you is, what is the question that you would like to be asked? Or what is the question that you need to be asked? Okay. And I have some options for you. I'm giving them to you in the chat where it's a
Oh.
secret just between you and me.
Okay.
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 Uh-huh.
And those are just options. You do not have to use those options.
Mhm.
Basically, I'm telling everybody else, not the exact questions, but again, like there's just a basic list of 6 questions that you could use in order to get a little bit closer to the actual development that you need to do. And it could be a push, it could be an invitation. Again, so I would just say what I'm going to invite Nancy to do is I want you to pick a question from there or one that you make up that you would like me to ask you, and I will do the same. Okay.
Okay.
And again, just some of these questions are yes or no questions to allow for like simplicity if it would feel like too much to be sort of exposed. Some are very, very open-ended. And if it doesn't feel specific enough for you, Nancy, you're welcome to modify any of these.
So, okay, just for
I think I know which one I need you to ask me, and I'm, again, when I say like I need you to ask me, it's because I definitely trust you to push me a little bit. It's gonna be
So
okay.
that, let me just clarify that. So the questions that you just asked me, are you, because I was starting to answer some of them. So do you want me to then ask you, like I need to formulate questions for you? Is that what you were asking me? Because as I was answering, you were telling me another
Oh,
thing.
that's so funny. Oh, you're so good. See, this is what I love about Nancy. Nancy is like ready to dive in deep and be like, yes, let's get in there. All you have to do, Nancy, is pick one of those questions.
Okay.
And I'm going to ask you. You just have to ask the questions.
Okay.
We're living the questions for this moment.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I am going, okay, so I'm gonna just get rid of, well, I'm gonna just send this to you anyway, just so you could see. But
Ooh,
now I am going to, well, now I gave you a little hint because,
Yeah. Oh, see, this is okay. So without sharing exactly what Nancy wrote,
okay,
Nancy, again, not only is she willing to dive deep, but she's willing to jump ahead to the now let's get stuff done.
an overachiever.
Very, very practical. And
Okay.
what this time, it's like, it's way too easy. Some people will call this skill set of problem solving potentially a spiritual bypass. And in soul work, we are literally carving out time to see like, okay, what do you need on a soul level? We got to feel our way through it before we get to the practical.
Okay.
And so we'll definitely get there. But the question I might ask to help you get to there, again, like I want to know the question